Hey, good morning. How you guys doing? Something I want to let everybody know who's thinking about it, pondering about it. One thing you need to know before you start your life journey, you need to know the size you want to start with. That is so important. If you don't know the size you want to start with, you're gonna be all up messed up in this game. But it's really important for you to know what size you want. Do you want to be jumbo? Do you want to be tiny? Do you want to be super tiny? Like you really need to know before you start. Because if you don't, you will be out here in these YouTube streets or in these real streets, just trying to figure it out and maybe redoing your style 2 to 3 times. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride because this is really important. You need to know the size to start with before you begin. So I'll be right back with you guys. 1 second. And welcome to my Dreadlock Diaries. Let's ride. Okay, so enough of that. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. If you know, you know. I think it was so important to talk about lock sizes because again, some people just they say they want locks, but they don't know where to start, and then they find themselves doing 2 and 3 different sets of locks for no reason because they didn't do their research in advance, and they feel like, oh, I don't like where my locks are coming out. I don't like the size. I don't like the shape. I want to start over again. And honestly speaking, you gotta educate yourself, you gotta do your research. So first things first, how do you picture your locks? Do you find yourself with the big jumbo wicks like Jay-Z? Do you find yourself with the sister locks that are super skinny that almost look like real hair? Do you find yourself with the normal strands? Like it's important to figure out which one you want. So I'm gonna throw this screen up here so you guys can see there are different sizes you can go from. So we got the sister locks that are almost damn near invisible. Next to that is the micro locks, which is a little bit larger than that. Following after the micro locks are the extra small locks, followed by the small locks, followed by the medium locks, which is what I have. Then you get to the medium, then you have the large, then you have the extra large, and some people take it above that and go jumbo and wick styles, but I don't really like the wick styles, but to each his own. So I'm going to start off with the micro locks. We're going to go past the sister locks because some people may think micro locks and sister locks are the same thing. So one thing you need to know about micro locks, when you're going this small, so we're going to pay attention to the first and second charts that say zero point 0.1 centimeters to zero point 0.2 centimeters. When you're going for locks this small, just know that you will be in the chair for a very long time. These are super tiny, they're super versatile because unlike my hair, some people may think it's just your regular hair. They may not realize it's, tiny micro locks. So you get away with it being super versatile. You can do things with these style locks that you can't do with the thicker, bigger, large, extra large wig style locks. So that's super important. And another thing you need to know, it's a very nice, neat style. So you will probably be in the chair for 8 hours getting this style, getting this retwist, getting this wash, getting this service. But it is for those people that want to have tiny strands that mimic almost regular loose strand hair. So if you don't want to have the big jumbo locks and you want to be able to comb your hair, brush your hair, put your fingers through your hair and treat it like regular strands, you will be going for the sister locks or the micro locks. Again, it takes forever to get them done, forever to start them, forever to retwist them, but they are the closest thing you will find to having regular loose natural hair, but you will be locked, dreadlocked. So that is the option. So pay attention to that. If you don't want to go that small, you're going to go a step up to the small locks. And with the small locks, they're very defined. You can tell they're locks because they don't mimic regular loose strand hair. It's a nice balance, because again, it could, be managed and treated, and you can do styles that can give you a lot of versatility and balance, and you're not stuck in a setting where you can't do anything with it. So I personally like the smaller size locks versus the bigger size locks because for me, the bigger you go, the less you can do with them, the less versatile they become, the less flexible they are because they're big, they're huge, they're humongous. All you can do is probably put them up in a ponytail or let them just hang loose. So it's really up to you. Like, what are you looking for? What do you want to achieve? And another important thing is, what does your hair texture look like right now? What does your hair grade look like? What does your face shape look like? What is your personality about? I feel like those are all things to take into consideration when you're thinking about the size that you want to go. So again, another thing to think about is your hair density. Do you have thick, dense hair? Or do you have thin, dense hair? Do you have fluffy hair? Do you have coarse hair? Do you have tangly hair? Do you have nappy hair? Do you have fine hair? Do you have stringly hair? Do you have, wavy hair? Do you have oily hair? Do you have dry hair? All of these things are so important to consider when picking your locks, and what size you want, because you're the one dealing with them. So you'll have to go through the ups and downs and the pros and cons of, finessing this hairstyle to do the best thing for you. So pay attention and think about, what you are dealing with in your head already. Again, everything I just mentioned, take that into consideration, because you want your locks to flourish, you want them to grow, you want them to be healthy, you want them to be clean, you want people to know you have dreadlocks and not be confused about what they're looking at when they see you. So definitely pay that attention, when you're trying to, get that covered, what you want to do. I think the larger your locks are, the style may be hard. You may not be able to do so much versatility with it. So for me, I personally have the medium, small locks, but I do have some that are medium throughout my head. It depends on, how your hair texture is. So if you know, you know. Moving on to medium locks. Medium locks are fun. I have medium locks. They're popular. Most people may call them the traditional locks. Most people have like the medium style, like me, where it's very obvious on eyesight you have dreadlocks. They're not super thin. They're not super chunky. They look full from root to tip. They're easy to maintain on your own. You don't need a stylist with them, and it's something you can learn here watching YouTube videos or Pinterest videos, and it's not overwhelming and it's not overbearing. So I highly recommend, medium locks as well, because medium locks be doing anything out here. A lot of women, men, different cultures rock the medium locks because it's just easier to manage. You don't necessarily need a stylist to find your parts, to get it started. You can finesse this on your own. So, by the end of this live stream, my whole goal here is to be able to say, okay, you guys know what size locks you want. You know how the retwist and the maintenance will be for your locks. You know about your hair quality, your density, your thickness, your texture, and you're not making a mistake. We're going to have to start all over again. So that's the point for this, to help you know where to start. I did not know where to start. I was like, I want locks. They were like, what size you want? I'm like, I don't know. I want locks. Someone has to break it down to me. Do you want your locks to be super big? Do you want to start off really small in case they pop and they break, and combine them with another lock next to them? I'm like, okay. And when I found out that, I'm like, okay, I don't want super tiny locks because they may pop easily. I don't want super big locks because they're gonna get too fluffy and full and big for me to manage. So that's what helped me understand. I wanted small, medium locks. So on the back, I have some medium, and the sides I have some small, and the middle I have some medium. But everyone's hair texture is totally different. But you need to know this. Do not start your journey without knowing what size you want to go, because you have to cut all your hair off or comb it all out and do it all over again. And nobody got time for that. Locks take a long time just to get started. So you want to know from jump what you want. Now, moving on to the thick, chunky locks. Some people have no time and patience for trying to twist really thin, tiny strands like the sister lock in this image, or the micro lock in this image, or the extra small lock in this image. So they just straight up go for the thick, chunky locks. So when you think of thick, chunky locks, you may think about old school Lauryn Hill. You may think about Ty Dolla $ign. You may think about Lil Wayne. That's the bold, chunky style where it's so big, you can just wrap it in a huge bun, put it in a hat, and you're not probably maintaining that a lot besides washing and letting it air dry. So if you know, that's my personal preference, as far as the size charts of it. But again, I have a size chart right here for you. So as you can see, we are starting out with sister locks all the way up to extra large locks. And that thick, chunky lock falls right in between that large and extra large. So that's where you're going if you're wanting that thick, chunky, bold lock. Now be mindful, when you have thick, chunky, heavy locks, they're gonna get super duper heavy. Neck weight, head weight, shoulder weight. Can your neck support those thick, big, chunky locks when you're washing them, when you're having a bun on your head? So think about it very clearly. Like, you want to make a decision that's going to help you thrive and flourish with the locks. So don't pick anything that's going to be too overwhelming. Don't pick anything that's going to, have you just, frustrated, wanting to cut them off and start again, because the goal is to keep them, love them, marry them, let them grow as long as possible, and fall in love with them, probably even on a spiritual note, which is where I am now. My life's got spiritual out here. But But anyway, moving forward, just know what you're doing before you start. Do not start the journey without knowing my hair texture, my hair quality, my hair grade, what I want, what I can handle, what I can need. Be careful of that. That can really screw you up. Next, hair density. So, the same way some people may have, dense tissue breasts, there's dense hair. So with dense hair, I think it's smart to try, a small medium style, only because, your hair may be susceptible for damage and things like that, and you just don't want to go there. You're going to medium density. That's any size that will get it won't really, mess with you that much. You go to high density, that's medium thick locks, So medium thick locks goes along with the chunky locks. I'm sorry, high density goes with medium thick locks. So medium density goes to any size. Low density goes to small medium. So make sure you're picking what works for you. I think, micro locks, they're really thin, They can resemble sister locks, They are versatile. You can curl, put them in a hot curler, you put them in rolls, the what you call those, the flexi rods, the hard rods, the soft sponges. You can do way more with that. You can't do that on big blocks, medium blocks. It's not gonna hold. But you probably do like the flexi bars that may last you, or maybe the hard rollers. Small locks are cute though. Again, they mimic real hair. It's a nice balance. It looks neat. It's manageable. Retwist is gonna be overwhelming. I won't lie. But it's best for people that want like a clean slate look. They don't want the messy look. Medium locks, popular, easy to maintain. Most people have them. They look really full when they, mature. They're easier to retwist. Doesn't take as long, and it's good for people that are busy on a work schedule, always on the go. They don't have time to be chit chatting. It's easier for those kind of people as well. Um, Lifestyle check. If you are a runner, if you are an athlete, or if you're in the gym, you may want to get a hairstyle that will hold up to that. And I feel like when it comes to small and medium, they don't hold up to the gym active life. If you're running triathlons, if you're a climber, if you're, just outdoorsy person, always out and about, you don't like to stay at home, you're always out on the go. Small, medium locks are probably not for you. You probably want some thicker, medium ones so they don't unravel and sweat out as much. So definitely pay attention to that. That's super important. And just know that you don't want to start all over from scratch. You want to make the first decision, the right decision, the first time. You don't want to be going back and forth like, oh my God, they're not big enough, they're not small enough. They're this, they're that. But the good thing I can tell you, if you start off small, you can upgrade to small, medium, and large, and extra large. But if you start out extra large, you cannot go backwards. So think of it that way. You start out small, you can always increase the half bigger, 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 bigger. You start out extra large, you cannot go down to small and extra small without cutting and chopping your locks. So I recommend everyone start off smaller and you have your locks combined to get bigger and thicker, versus starting out large. When you start out large, there's nothing you can do. So if you work out a lot, go medium. If you don't work out that much, go small, micro. If you want an easy maintenance, I would say medium, but it's all to you, but take notes, make sure you got, you're paying attention to all these things. Um, Another thing I want to mention as well too is if you have somebody helping you with your hair, if you have someone helping you with your hair, this may be easy. If you don't have no one helping with your hair, this can make it super duper hard. So some common mistakes I would say is don't go too big, don't go too tiny. Find the perfect size that works for you. The perfect size that may work for you may not work for every other person, and don't compare yourself to other people. It's the worst mistake I've ever made. Most dreadlock people made. Stop comparing yourself to other people. I have notes, guys. I'm just making sure I'm correcting my notes right now. Because I'm looking this way, I'm just looking at my notes, make sure I got my notes all together. Um, some people go too small. Some people go too big. Some people ignore the hair density they have. Some people don't think long term. Um, and lock count is not important, but you need to know every little thing about your locks. If I was you, again, go small. You can combine your locks to go big. If you go large, you can't do that. Lock count number doesn't really matter too much. But something you need to know is, how often you're going to be cleaning, washing your hair. You're going to moisturize. You're going to use rice water. You're going to use rose water. You're going to use regular water. What are your favorite conditioners to keep it moisturized and manageable? Like these are so important. No one ever talks about them. People just put up pictures of cute styles, colors, DIY tips. But before you get there, how do you maintain it? You need to know that, right? It's not simple. It's not easy. But I have this handy dandy chart up here for you guys. Hoping you guys are looking at it. If you're thinking about locks, you can see where to start. And if you look even closely, there are small pennies, coins under each lock, just giving you the kind of trying to give you like the idea of the thickness in it. Sorry, my light is acting funny right now. It's acting like it wants to give up on me. Let's go. Come on, light. Let's not be that way. Okay, there we go. So it's just super important, like make sure you pay attention. Again, if you have fine, thin hair, stringy, no volume hair, you may not want to go too big. You may not. If you have really big, coarse 4C, 4D, really thick, coarse textured hair, you may want to go bigger. Bigger may work for you. At least start out at medium, medium to large. Just know your hair, know your goals, know your lifestyle, know what you can handle, what you can't handle. Don't sign yourself up for something you cannot handle because it'll be a waste of time. And again, if you're a busy person, go with you have thick hair, go medium thick. If you got fine hair and you love styling and it's straight, go small. Find what works for you. Don't do what you see other people do. Like you gotta find what works for you. Your perfect lock size, your hair density, your lifestyle is the best way to say where I want to start. For me, I used to be super active. I'm not as active anymore, so I feel like I picked the good one. Sometimes I think about combining my locks and going larger, especially because my front ear is kind of thin. But if you know, you know. You definitely, you got to figure out, what works for you. Moving on, we're gonna take this off the screen. You got to see my locks. Take a look at my locks. You can't really tell, but if you look closely, there's some that are thicker, some that are fuller. The ones in the front are kind of thin. The ones in the back are softer in texture. So, it's just you really gotta know your hair. Some people, hair goes fast. Some people hair don't go fast. So all those things are something to take accountability for because you want to thrive out in these streets. With your locks. You want to be celebrating anniversaries, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4. You want to celebrate all the anniversaries because you feel like you worked hard for it. So some common mistakes I want to get into really quickly. One thing I want to say is don't count your locks. Don't really go for a specific lock count goal. I feel like that has nothing to do with nothing. And one thing I think about too is people don't think about their locks in the long run, like what their locks can look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. I think that's super important because again, if you can get a visual of what your lock looks like in the future, that gives you motivation to care for and treat it the right way now in real time while they're flourishing and blossoming under, the budding, So definitely pay attention to that. If you have any questions about block products that work well for twisting, for washing, for conditioning, for oiling, let me know in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you on those kind of things. But I want to close this out by saying, your hair is dense, be aware of that. Your hair is thick, be aware of that. If your hair is long, be aware of that. You're an active person, be aware of that. Lock count does not matter. But by the way, I have 60 locks, but lock count doesn't matter. Um, you can always combine your locks and have less locks, so that doesn't really matter. But make sure you're in it for the right reasons. Make sure you pay attention to all the flags and the signs. Don't compare yourself to anyone else's locks. And once you pick the right size for you, you'll see how they will flourish. Initially speaking, they will shrink, they'll butt up, they'll fluff, and you'll get to where you want to be at. But have faith in the journey. Know that what's for you is for you. Don't have a lot of people planning your hair. And once you start that lock size, you cannot go back. So if you missed anything, go back to the beginning and replay this video. Hope this was informative for you. Hope you guys, paid attention to all this stuff. Again, ask me any questions you want, any tea, any deets, I got you, and not for nothing. I think I may want to go bigger sometimes. I think I may want to combine some of my locks and go bigger. But that's what you get when you're able to have smaller locks to be able to upgrade. Again, if you start big, you cannot go back to small. So peace out, guys. Have a great one. Thank you for stopping by and watching this live stream. Hope you guys are well. And if you're on your live journey and you think you want to get some locks, I hope this video was informative to you. Now, peace out. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.